Hello there, my name's Matt and welcome to Let's Play All. On this channel, I generally do guitar lessons and guitar-related gear demos. Now, a question that I get asked quite a lot now is what gear I use to actually produce all the content that I do across YouTube and Instagram. So the purpose of this video is to basically run through all of the gear that I use, the software, the hardware for both audio and visual, and the settings that I use as well across my camera and lenses. You know, all of that sort of stuff. We're getting into the whole shebang. So if you're looking to maybe start out or even to maybe level up and you're not too sure what to do, hopefully this will have something in it for you. So first off, let's start with audio. You are going to need to capture your voice if you plan on having your voice included in it. If not, no worries. But you're definitely going to want to be able to capture your guitar tone in the best way possible. Now, initially when I started out, I was able to play my tube amp at quite a high volume, and I was using a very cheap USB mic, a condenser mic, right in front of the speaker with a USB cable going into my laptop that was running Audacity, and that's how I used to capture the sound. Fine to get started, but as the demands grew to create more content, I needed a way to be able to record in a more consistent manner, because often I wouldn't be able to use certain rooms because maybe the kids are, playing or asleep, or my wife's in there or whatever. So I needed to be able to record silently, but I still wanted to use my tube amp and I didn't want to sacrifice the quality of the tone I was recording. So my current chain is guitar into my pedals and then into the front of my Morgan MVP 66, which is a tube amp. I don't, however, have any speaker or cab connected to that, right? So to achieve that and be able to record silently, one of the key components that I've had for a long time is the 2 notes. And this is the Captor X, this is the newer one. The old black one I used to use for years, and they very kindly sent me this one recently, so thank you very much indeed. And they are indeed sponsoring the video, because I said I'd give them a shout out, so thank you very much indeed. But I've used this product for a long time with the wall of sound, which we'll get into as well. So basically the connection goes out of your amp into this bad boy, and these are I think linked to the ohms that you would have. So I got 16 ohms out of mine. I got a 16 ohm version of this that needs to match, and then out of here you go straight into your audio interface. Now, you do not need an expensive audio interface. I started with a Steinberg UR12, which is about 100 quid. It came bundled with Cubase. I still use the same version now. I have upgraded my audio interface to the Universal Audio Apollo Twin, which is awesome. Allows me to do a bunch of other stuff, but you don't need that. You can just use a bog standard cheap one. And then inside Cubase, which obviously I'm using, but you could use any other DAW, which is a digital audio workstation. There are loads of them out there. I'm using the 2 Notes Wall of Sound plugin. Now that handles all of the cab and the mic simulation. Now, there's a bunch of free cabs and mics that you can use. I think I bought the Victory 412O, the Duchess pack, because I was using a Victory amp at the time and I just wanted to mimic what it sounded like in the room. But when I took away the cab, I wanted it to sound the same. So I did A/B them. And then when I got the Morgan, I just stuck with it. It just sounds great. So I don't go in there ever and tweak that. I just basically spent a bit of time when I set it up to find the things that I like. So what have we got here? We've got a CND Tube 47 and a CND 184. Again, I did spend an hour or two just sort of A/Bing a few just to get a sound that I was happy with. And I've never changed it ever since. Now from there, you could use monitor speakers, but again, I do most of my recording when my kids are asleep. So I need to be doing it silently, or as silently as I can. All you're going to really hear is me talking to the camera and, the acoustic string strumming. But I use these headphones. You'll see these are Audio Technica, what are they? ATH M50X. I've had these for ages. You'll see loads of people wearing these. Once I bought them, actually, I noticed that loads and loads of sort of producer types seem to buy these, but they're very, very good headphones. So I've had them for a few years now. Brilliant. But before I could really afford those, I just had like a 20 or 30 quid Sennheiser pair that sit over your ears, or Sennheiser, I don't know how you pronounce that. So again, you can make some savings there if you don't have the cash available to go for something like that. Now, one thing that I did find is that I have a very noisy room in here. There's a lot of stuff plugged in. I mean, I've got probably 3 or 4 ways connected in, loads of lights and laptops and screens and all sorts of stuff going on. So my room tends to be quite noisy. So one of my favorite new pedals is the Boss NS1X, which is a noise suppressor, a noise gate. And I use that a lot, especially if I'm using like single coils and things like that, because they're just very noisy. So when I'm doing lessons and I'm not playing the guitar, there's sometimes quite a lot of background noise. And it doesn't reflect on any of the pedals or the gear that I'm using, just the room I'm in is quite noisy. So that cuts that out. What I used to have to do was when I go into my editing, I would have to edit out any of the segments where I'm not playing and I'm just talking. So I would have to cut out the audio from the guitar track quite painstakingly, because I just got into the habit of just wanting the audio to sound as crisp as possible. So that was a right pain. That's been a lifesaver. I now don't do that. It's a huge, huge time saver. Now, another thing I'd recommend you get is an isolated power supply like this sucker. It's from Mono. So as you can see, you've got a bunch of different outs. I actually have a larger one that I use, which is, I think it's got like 500 milliamps per output. So you can generally get, you can daisy chain off those if you want, but there's that many I don't generally need to. I don't really have a pedal board for my demo stuff or for my lessons, because I chop and change out pedals all the time, just to mix things up and to show you how you can use different pedals. It's fun for me to do that. And you guys seem to like it too. So that's what I use as my isolated power supply. I also used the pedal train Volto for a long while. I used that live, and that was cool for a while too, but I just found that these suckers suited my needs a bit better. Another pedal I've been using a lot recently, because I don't have any reverb on my amp, is the Evermore reverb. But I mean, you can use any sort of reverb. I generally gravitate towards hall reverb, just to add a little something to some of the lessons that I do and some of the demos that I do. Now, in terms of how I capture my voice, in the early days, I was using that same USB microphone because it's the only one I had. So I would record the demo, and then over the top, I would, record my voice after the fact, right? Which is a bit of a pain. It took sort of twice as long to do it, because I'd have to watch back what I was doing and then talk over it. But I then started using the audio from my camera, which was awful. And then I got a cheap Rode clip-on mic, which I used for a little bit. Then I upgraded that to the Video Pro, I think, like a shotgun mic, which was better. That was about, I think that's about 130 quid or something. And then from there, I upgraded to a fixed one. So I've got one which is just above me, this one here, which I think is a Rode NTG +1, I think, something like that. That one is battery powered. You basically charge it up and it lasts for months and months and months. And I do hours of recording, most days. That's really cool. So that's attached to a tripod overhead. But when I got that, I also needed to buy a Zoom H6 recorder. So that is connected into that. So that is a significant upgrade, but the results are, significantly better. So if you're looking to upgrade and you're not moving around a lot, which I don't, then a fixed one's a pretty good option. You could look at the lavalier types, if you like to move around. I mean, like if I turn and go to look at my pedals, then obviously my voice disappears a little bit. So if you care about that, then you maybe want to look at one of the sort of clip-on options that you could get. But at the moment, that's what I'm using. I don't use any other processing. I literally just dump the raw audio from both my guitar and my voice into Premiere Pro, which is what I use to do the editing, and that is it. I generally don't do any processing of the audio that I record for my voice or for the guitar, just because I think it gives a much more honest flavour, and I'm not really a producer type that likes to go in there and tweak EQs and all that sort of stuff to make. Some do, and their guitars sound incredible because of it. But I prefer to give a bit more of an authentic vibe of it's how I'm hearing it, basically, rather than me sprinkling a load of sugar over the top. Now let's look at the camera that I use. I use just a single Canon M50. It's brilliant for doing a bunch of stuff. It's very lightweight. I use a little power supply, a little Anchor, I think it is, USB charger for it, because you can get cables that can connect in and can basically provide power to the camera, so I don't have to constantly have batteries. I used to use just batteries which were a nightmare. I'd get a window to record in, and then the batteries wouldn't be charged, and then I'd have to wait hours for them to charge, or they'd run out halfway through me recording, and it was really stressful. So I just invested in that. Now, lenses are really important because that combined with the lighting is a huge thing. That took me ages to figure out. And you'll see my early ones when I started to record at night time. The lighting was appalling, and I'd record, and then in Premiere Pro it would just be awful, and I'd have to try and tweak the lighting and stuff. It was just a nightmare. I don't want to do that. I just want to dump the recording that I have in and then, you know, just edit it. That's it. So the key point here is the lens type. This came with a bundle of lenses. This one is a 22mm pancake lens. So it's basically gives you quite a wide field, I suppose. It's great for the, you know, blurry background. It does all that sort of stuff. But the key bit is that it's got an f2.0 capable lens. Now, I don't know loads about photography, but I think the lower the number is, the faster the lens is considered. So it will allow more light in, so it's better for using in lower light scenarios. Now, this video is being captured by the 22mm lens. So to give you a comparison between the sort of kit lenses and this prime lens, this is the 22mm lens that we're looking at now. Now, this is the kit lens. It's, what is it, 15 to 45mm. So it's, you're getting a sort of wider length. You can see the terrible curtains that I have here. Look at those bad boys. Now, I'm using the same like aperture settings and all that sort of stuff and ISO, but I can actually change that and make it a bit lighter. So, I mean, you know, you could actually do that. It's not terrible, is it? And light-wise, I didn't spend a lot of money on lighting either. I got these two backlights here. That's an IKEA light at the top there. The one down the bottom there, I think they call them Edison light bulbs, so that you can see the filament in them, but they just give a really nice sort of warm light in the background there. And then I've got a fill light over this side, so you can see if I turn that completely off, it changes the, you know, my side of my face sort of disappears. A bit Phantom of the Opera. Some people might like that, right? But if I turn it on a little bit, and then I can turn it right up, you can see how much sort of fill light you get. And that's basically got like a dimmable roller knob on it. So I generally just turn it up until I go, yeah, that looks about right. The main light that I have, my key light, if you want to get technical, I guess, is and I have to read this, Godox SL60W. And that's a really sort of big, soft light. And soft light's really key. You'll hear that talked about loads. And it does a really good job of not, you know, giving you extra shadows and stuff, basically. So it's just quite a nice light, and it works great with the setup that I got here. Now, that's about it, but software is an important bit too, so a quick note on that. I already said I used Premiere Pro for the editing. I've used that since I started. I think it's not that cheap. It's 20 quid a month, so I've been paying 20 quid a month for, God knows, 5 years or whatever it is. You also get Spark with that free, so that's by Adobe as well. I use that to do my thumbnails and any other sort of image-related things I generally edit in there. I also use Moises. I've done videos on that, several I think, so you can go and check those out. That's to create my backing track, so I can remove the original guitar line, and I use those for Instagram mainly, but also for covers that I do on YouTube. And last but not least, I also use Guitar Pro software to do my tabs. I get asked that a lot as well. I don't know of any other ones, but it's just brilliant. I've used it for years, and that's really cheap. I think that's just a one-off payment. I can't remember how much it was, but it's awesome. Does the job great, and you can export them as PDFs as well. And you know, I use that then to cut and paste and put them into the videos. So there you have it. I think I've covered everything that I use. I may have missed something out. But anyway, if you've got any questions, do let me know in the comments below. Happy to answer them. I hope you found this useful. See you again soon.